What's up, everyone? It's JJ, and I have glasses. First live stream with the glasses. Best Ball Mania, I got the 101 spot. Let's do this. Like I said, I'm in the 101 spot in this draft. I ended up taking Christian McCaffrey. I technically have Lamb and Tyreek now ranked ahead because of the injury stuff, but I looked at my exposure earlier today. I need to even things out a little bit. That's why I went with CMC. They're all still in the same tier for me. So we're going with a little anchor RB look. Should not have consumed some food beforehand. Hope everyone's doing well. The chat is empty right now. Not a single comment on my glasses yet. I'll take that as a W. I was away this past weekend at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio. Got to see a lot of friends in the industry. Got to meet a lot of fans out there that love fantasy football, that listen to the content. Oh, Jahmyr Gibbs ahead of Bijan Robinson. It was a good time. Good time. Hey, nice glasses. Thanks. Benton, what's up? Jaquan, yo. We're here and we care. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Brian calling me Four Eyes. Jeremy saying he's in a best ball slow draft right now. I feel you. Look at Jahmyr going in the 108 spot. Bijan goes 109. No big surprise there. I feel like every other stream you get the 101. Seems like that. The streams have been very 101 focused. At least I feel like the streams recently have been like top 3 picks. My voice is a little bit screwed up from being in Canton. It's not even an alcohol induced voice issue. Because I didn't drink over the weekend. It's more of a screaming over music, talking to people issue, and lack of sleep. Debo still going at the start of the second round, despite the fact that it's sounding more and more likely that Ayuk sticks around, which is what I think no one really has a true idea of what's going on there. I'd take Ayuk, though, if he makes it to the turn. Damien. What's up, JJ? Thank you for helping me get through this 3 p.m. slump. You're welcome. It'll go by fast. Ben says, so now that you are visually representing as a nerd, do you feel you better represent the community that you are a part of? I feel like I've always... I play video games. I do nerdy things already. Oh, yeah, John's in here. John, congratulations. I forgot. You got married, right? Only Ricky knows. Yeah, only Ricky's aware of the Brandon Ayuk stuff. Pretty chalky. Nothing crazy. I'm kind of glad Malik Neighbors went there because I have enough neighbors and I don't want to have to make the choice with this injury. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but then I saw not long ago Brian Dable say that it wasn't a fracture, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if you got to let us know that it's not a fracture, does that mean that it's close to being a fracture? Yeah, John, come to Canton next year, man. It's a good time. All right, so Saquon goes. Let's go Cooper Kupp. I think I'm gonna go Ayuk with the other one and get the pairing with CMC. Just cross our fingers that Ayuk sticks around. And I'm gonna help a brother out in the 2 spot to give him a nice little Philly stack with his CeeDee Lamb. The Influencer 101 rigged, yeah. Tyler, appreciate it, brother. Telling people to hit the sub, hit the like, support our newest big best ball bro convert. I appreciate it. David says, speaking of Canton, could you talk through your auction strategy from that clip when you have a sec? Yeah, that clip was a random. It was for Amari Cooper. At that point in the draft, it was pretty late. For some reason, like he hadn't been nominated. We had already drafted probably 100 players. And yeah, I mean, it was just a matter of I knew I kind of wanted to get him because I could see the trend of people not people were trying to hoard money to be the bully at the end, and a lot of the teams in that draft ended up kind of under committing to players early, and their teams just aren't they're pretty flat. There's no real studs. So Cooper or Christian Kirk are like my wide receiver 4 on that team. And yeah, I mean, there wasn't really a strategy. It was more so I had a range based on everything that had gone on earlier in that auction draft. I had a range of what price point I knew that he would go for. And so I made sure that he was going in that range. The 4 or 5 turn with CMC is tough. Yeah, we'll see what happens. A lot of times it's easy to lean in on Andrews Lamar, and then you feel bad about wide receiver. So I might end up making this a Mahomes team. We'll see, though. I might not get either of them. It's a wide receiver heavy draft, though. Ish. I guess maybe not. I was just looking over here. We'll see when Pacheco goes. Right there. This is also my first BBM. Excuse me, my first BBM in a few days. I didn't draft it all over the weekend. I was doing the other drafts at the Hall of Fame. Because we do for the Kings Classic, we do a snake draft first and then an auction draft right after. I liked my snake draft a lot. I was in the 14 spot. It's a 14 team league. I was in the 14 spot, and I was kind of annoyed by that because it's a bad spot in general. But it turned out all right. I went pretty 0 RB. JJ, how early would you be drafting Cup in best ball now that he's healthy, all camp, but still older and signs of decline versus man? I think that in the late second is still fine. Like at the 2-3 turn where I got him. JJ, did you ever play Titanfall 2? I did not. My buddies did, though. There goes Mahomes, so that's not in play. Just so hard to get away from the Lamar Andrews thing if they're there. I don't really want to get Pickens in case Ayuk does go to Pittsburgh here. That'd be a rough sitch for this build. We'll see what happens here, though. Pretty open to a lot of different builds. All right, there goes Pickens. I'm not like in love with McLaurin. Yeah, there goes. So he's going to get Jackson Andrews. I'm not going to screw him over and just get Andrews for no reason. Probably go a little chalk. Maybe I'll go. What do I got to do? Forgot to open up my cheat sheet. Let's start with Christian Kirk. I'm fine with that. Just a solid option. I think, though, yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of correlation working. I might go Rashee Rice. Nah, I'll play it safe. Let's go McLaurin. Pretty chalky draft. Opens things up with Jaden Daniels potentially. We do have week 15 with San Francisco and LA. But nothing yet. JJ abiding by best ball bro code there with Andrews. Yeah. I'm helping the 102 out quite a bit. I let him get Devontae Smith, but they might be struggling a little bit at wide receiver. Knowing that, I wanted to pile up the wide receiving group there and then be a little bit flexible at the end of the sixth. Yo, digging the glasses. Thanks, man. Thanks, Rolling. EA about to make like $100 on a random flooding of Titanfall 2. Yeah. All these people talking about Titanfall 2 in here. I actually need a game though. I've been playing college football a little bit, play Rocket League still. I really haven't had like a go-to game though. I play a lot of multiplayer stuff these days. I'm not doing that much campaign stuff. Um, but I haven't really gotten into like hardcore into a game since Overwatch, and Overwatch 2, they just ruined the game. But I played a lot of Overwatch, like when it first came out, and then the next like 5 years. Look at this, Billy saying, but if you went Rasheed instead of Terry, you had the potential for Ayuk Rasheed week 17 correlation. Because hypothetically, in that scenario, Brendan Ayuk would be a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's really funny. Overwatch is still fun-ish, but they absolutely ruined it. They did ruin it, man. My gosh. I've never seen a bigger botch before with a video game in my life. Like, they had so much momentum with that game, and then they just tanked it. James, what's going on, bro? Still on NCAA 14, year 40 of my Bearcats dynasty. I can't tell if that's serious or not because I know that there are sickos out there who are going to be playing a game like that for 10 years. I totally watch a late round gaming channel. Bro, I've thought about doing like the retro gaming, the like an N64 Twitch. It's crossed my mind, but I don't think it's going to happen. There's not enough. Oh, it's serious, man. You're playing year 40 of your Bearcats dynasty. How is your console not just like blown up? It just seems like like it can't compute. What needs to happen is EA Sports. I never got into NFL Street. Oddly, I know some people are truthers. I get it. Totally get it. Man, this team is hoarding some running backs over here. I was hoping there was a chance that Walker would slip. Feel like every time I have so much Jacksonville and Tennessee and stuff because every time anytime I get like a top 3 pick, I just end up getting Jags, just the way it lines up. It's my Xbox from 2007. Jeez. That's wild. Any game that allows you to wall jump a catch with Takeo spikes is okay in my book. Yeah, what year was NFL Street? What are some of the players in NFL Street? What was that, like 04? I just never got into it. I played NFL Blitz growing up. 2005. Tyrone Calico, my gosh. Chris Chambers. These are some. Let's name some guys. My goodness. I love that you go from Tyrone Calico, Chris Chambers, and then you say Champ Bailey. Like he's even in the same stratosphere as those guys. Matt, the NFL Street Encyclopedia. Apparently, Matt knows a lot about NFL Street. My goodness. All right, there's going to be some decent options here at this next pick that I'm cool with. There goes Rachaad White. Kind of like having this anchor with CMC. This is going to be Deontay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go Evan Ingram. Pair him with Christian Kirk. And then, man, part of me wants to get Kamara. I just think Kamara is still a little bit under, like, at least kind of properly valued. He does get week 15 Washington. JSN. Not a ton of correlation in this lineup. Those are my two potential options here. I think I might go. You know what? I'm going to go JSN. Let's go JSN. We got the anchor. Thought about Brian Thomas too, but it's fine enough with the Jacksonville guys. JSN gives us another out later with Geno because it could be a three quarterback build. All right, now I got to get back to this chat. This is perfect. I love having the 101 because I can just read the chat for most of the draft and whatnot. Dante Hall was that dude in street. Dante Hall was that dude in real life. This is hilarious. So could you play defensive backs at any position? Can always pair JSN with a late round Bears running back. Yeah, that's definitely true. Like either one of them, I'm fine with getting Roshan or Khalil Herbert. I haven't drafted much DeAndre Swift at all in BBM. Maybe it'll be a mistake, but I just don't think he's that good of a pick. Yo, Coffin Fleet from California. Being able to play Antoine Randall at quarterback was a nuisance. Why do the Bears hate Khalil Herbert? I don't know. I think that a lot of it comes down to he's just not like a 3-tool player, or they haven't seen him as that. Just finished reading the guide. Great work as always. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm with you on Swift, but it might bite me. Look, the logic with Swift though is that, it's similar to like how it was in Detroit, where it's like he's an in between the 20s guy and might not see goal line work. And then obviously he goes a little bit higher than usual here. Might not see goal line work, probably won't see goal line work. Might not even see that much work as a receiver. Like at least as much as what some people are projecting. And you got like this is the like when you sit down and actually project these guys, every team, like I'm not a big believer in like vacated targets or anything like that because talent drives that. But what I am a believer in is vacated target share and how target share works from position to position, from player to player, because that's how we project. Good projections are not based on raw numbers and just saying this guy gets 90 targets, this guy gets 95 targets. You're projecting a team level output and then you're dividing that up by target share and by rush share, right? And so target share wise in Chicago, you've got 3 really good wide receivers that are going to command a 20+% potentially target share in the offense. And if they don't, that means the offense is doing something wrong, right? That means they're not running enough 11 personnel, which is possible with Shane Waldron. But you got 3 good wide receivers. There's only 100% target share to go around. So there's naturally, in a situation like this, even though we don't think about it this way, there's naturally some sort of cap ceiling from a target share perspective for a wide receiver, for a running back like that. And that's early for Khalil Shakir too. All right. We're coming up here soon. So we have San Francisco. We have the Rams. I kind of like double tapping tight end whenever I have a guy like Evan Ingram and just getting like a decently, like a pretty solid stable. Like I could go Bowers here. I've gotten a lot more Njoku than Bowers. So even from a portfolio standpoint, it would be good. All right. We're going to go Bowers as the first, I think. They get Jacksonville in week 16. So that's not nothing. And then I kind of want to go Chase Brown. Or let's go. I hate to do it because I do like Chase Brown more than Pollard straight up, but I think we go Pollard and start to build on that week 17. Maybe Jaden Daniels though. Yeah, we're gonna. Whew. Let's go Jaden Daniels. I still don't mind building 3 3 quarterback with Jaden Daniels. We're gonna go Jaden Daniels there though. How many BBMs deep are you? This is 116, 117, one of the two. Good morning, JJ. How was Canton? It was good. It's great. The guy watched the preseason game and thinks Shakir is the Bills wide receiver one because he came off the field first. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm in this Apex Writers League that we do every year, and I was in Canton, and I was talking to 4 other people who were in the same league, and I was on the clock, and I took Khalil Shakir, and I didn't realize because it was on. I'm not going to talk about the platform. It was on a platform that's been very difficult to use. We'll say that. Um, and I took Khalil Shakir, not realizing that Curtis Samuel was still on the board. Someone said, "Thanks for doing the Reddit AMA." Yeah, thanks for checking it out. What do you guys think? Do you think that the Jaden Daniels pick was right, or should I have gone like a Tony Pollard? It is a running back. Some of these teams are pretty running back heavy, but I do have CMC, so I'm fine with not necessarily forcing that. I kind of wanted to get Daniels. Someone said JD was the right pick. I kind of wanted to get. I guess Bowers is probably the bigger question mark. But again, I'm done at tight end now. Um, we'll see what happens with like Trevor Lawrence. If I can get Trevor Lawrence, and this is a 2 quarterback build, I'm okay with going with 3 quarterbacks though with Daniels. But I'm okay with 2 if it's like Geno or something. I don't think that's the end of the world either. Is De'Ami Brown a late round dart throw after that catch in preseason week 1? The thing with De'Ami Brown is he's a perimeter wide receiver. Obviously hasn't done that much in the NFL yet. He's a big play receiver. Like that's what he was at North Carolina. The reason that what's intriguing about that first preseason game and what's interesting is they used Jahan Dotson in the slot, which forced De'Ami Brown on the perimeter. Because like I always think about how is the market viewing 11 personnel, these 3 wide receiver sets for each team. And if you think about Washington, the market has basically said Terry McLaurin is the one. You know, you got Jahan Dotson on the opposite side. He's been a perimeter receiver. And then hypothetically, Luke McCaffrey would be playing the slot. Like that's how people have been thinking. But they played Jahan Dotson a lot in the slot in that game. And then De'Ami Brown was able to play on the outside because Luke McCaffrey is not an outside receiver. So those are sort of the small nuances that we need to pick up on to figure out, you know, how these offenses might want to operate and how they want to deploy their wide receivers, because it matters for these like secondary options. You know, a guy like Terry McLaurin's always going to be on the field. Jahan Dotson, they're going to find a way to have him on the field more than likely too. It matters though where they're lining up because that'll dictate who the third wide receiver is going to be on the field, right? Luke McCaffrey is not a perimeter receiver, at least not yet. He's a slot dude. And we see that a lot. You know, it's one thing though to know that exists and that it's happening. It's another to to assume that it's going to happen once the actual season hits, right? I want to hear what Matt Harmon thinks about Dotson in the slot. Seems to be a possibly a good thing. Yeah, it could be interesting. Cliff Kingsbury's offenses have favored that area. You know, Rondell Moore and Greg Dortch will get hyper targeted there at times. All right, so hopefully this guy gives me a favor back. Okay, he gave me Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence is there. We can get T-Law and be good. And then we probably need a running back. I don't really have a ton of Gus Edwards. I'm not going to lie. He doesn't really fit this build either in terms of correlation. I don't know. I don't know what I should do with this second running back pick. Or with this RB2. Rico? There's not really much correlation. This is such a dead part of this draft of drafts just in general. I don't really have a running back though that screams I need to draft you right here. I might go Rico. Rico over yeah. It's fine enough for me. I could go Eckler, but we'll go Rico. A little bit above ADP. That's what happens at the turn. Harmon is high on Dotson in the slot, though, for what it's worth. Yeah, I can believe that. I like Rico more than Zeke, at least. Any concerns about Rico playing when the starters were sitting during preseason? I'm not trying to look too much into stuff. Like, I'm trying to let talent dictate stuff. He's likely to play a role, right? And so I'm not going to sell Rico as like this is the guy that I'm targeting heavily all the time. I am overweight on Rico, but um yeah, I mean like at the end of the day, I think he's going to play a role, and I think that he's going to be more I think he's more talented than Zeke. Is Tyrone Tracy an absurd 101 pick? Yeah. I love me some Tyrone Tracy though. Love me some Tracy. I was going to talk about this today. I posted in my Discord my highest BBM from an exposure standpoint. And I'll talk about this on Becoming a Best Ball Bro in the last episode that we do. It's going to be kind of like a recap episode type deal. But I'll read some of mine. Trevor Lawrence and Will Levis are my top exposed quarterbacks, but not very high. They're at 15%. Deshaun Watson, 13%. Kyler, 12%. And then Derek Carr and Geno Smith at 10%. Running back, no one is very, like, I'm pretty flat from an exposure standpoint. And I think that might come to bite me at the end of the day. We'll see. This is all very much a learning experience for me. Running back, I have Jaleel McLaughlin and Najee and Corum and Charbonnet as my highest for BBM. And then in like only 2 percentage points below them is Tajay Spears, Ray Davis, Gibson, Chase Brown, and Tyrone Tracy. So that's my core running backs. Obviously, a lot of these guys are just late round picks. Wide receiver, I got a lot of Brian Thomas at 18%. DeAndre Hopkins, unfortunately, at 17%. Got Calvin Ridley, though, up there at 16%. So I'm just high on Tennessee. Javon Baker, 15%. And then a lot of guys at 13, 14. And then at tight end, it's Freiermuth. So I'm kind of rooting for a no Ayuk trade to Pittsburgh. Jonnu, Mark Andrews, Njoku, and Musgrave at 12%. Really flat for the most part across the board, though, which again I think might end up hurting me at the end of the day. We'll see, though. But those are the guys who, in BBM, I've seemed to be drafting the most. Thankfully, there's the Kamani Vidal stuff that came out today from The Athletic about him getting cut. Thankfully, a lot of my Vidal stuff was in like puppies in June. So his overall exposure is pretty strong in my portfolio, but his BBM was like 11% or 10% or something like that, which I'm overweight on. I still don't think that it's a lock at all that Vidal gets cut at all. I'm not drafting him probably anymore, but I don't think it's a cut or it's a lock at all. I'm feeling particularly spooked with 30% Lloyd across 500 drafts. I have a lot of Lloyd too, or like, in compare, I think I was at like 15%. So he just missed the cut with like Chase Brown and Tyrone Tracy, who are at 17. Yeah, I have a lot of Lloyd too. I was actually at the expo whenever I learned, because I didn't get to watch the games this weekend, but I was at the expo whenever I learned about the Lloyd injury, and it was tilting because I have a relatively decent fade on Jacobs. I'm probably at like 3 to 4% Jacobs. Any plans to do any redraft streams this season? Yeah, my Discord was talking about it too. I might do it with the Discord or with like patrons. If given, over the next couple weeks. Maybe this week on Wednesday, I think I have a day, an evening. Love seeing Brian Thomas as your highest wide receiver. I'm trying to acquire him in all my dynasty leagues. The market seems lower than him than they should be. Yeah, I liked him as a prospect here. I'll get to that more in just a second. I just want to make a pick. All right, let's see. I think I might try a Dobbins here. And then probably an Algier if he's there, because I have Washington. Double tap running back. Let's just double. I feel feels weird drafting Dobbins there. I'm gonna at least get Algier. Um, it's my. I might go Jalen Wright. I have a lot of Jalen Wright too. I think the contingent upside is just fantastic with him, and we have CMC, and I get the Week 16 with San Francisco and Miami. It's risky, but I'll go right. Chuba doesn't have a correlation, but man, he's got a role. Here's my thing with Chuba though. Like I don't mind Chuba Hubbard. I liked him. Like I thought he was a dynasty buy this offseason because I didn't think that the Panthers were going to go out and get Jonathan Brooks. But regardless of all that, my fear with Hubbard is that the market is kind of assuming that he does have this like a bell cow role. And I don't know if that's even going to be the case while Jonathan Brooks is coming back. And then Brooks could be back week 3 or week 4. Even if he's back week 6, how much is Chuba getting into your lineup when none of your players really have buys or not many of them have buys? You know? Yeah, Chuba and weekly winners makes a lot more sense. 100%. 100%. Chuba and BBM, I haven't gotten a lot of. Maybe that's bad process. I again, a lot of this stuff I'm trying to go through and learn and like figure things out and learn with you guys. That's why I'm doing these streams and why I'm doing becoming a best ball bro. But from a game theory perspective, it just seems like that's not necessarily, it depends on your build, of course. Like if you get some iffy running, like rookie running backs who are like guys who are going to perform later, you don't feel good about their early season work. Sure, Chuba makes a little bit more sense. But oh yeah, I'll get to Brian Thomas in a second. But Miles Sanders might be more involved than we think if he doesn't, if he's still on the team. Like we don't know exactly what that split's going to look like. There's a new coaching staff. I like Chuba more than I like Chuba more than Miles Sanders. I think he's a way better player, but the coaching staff might not. What were you going to say about Brian Thomas? I was going to say that he, I think, is a really, really good asset in this environment where he's a big play receiver, and we at least know that about Thomas. Like at the very least, that's what we know about Brian Thomas. I think he was a volatile prospect. My model really liked him though, but he was a volatile prospect. I think that he's obviously going to play on the outside and probably start for Jacksonville. I don't see why he wouldn't. But yeah, like in this environment, I think it could be a roller coaster type season for him. But this is the environment where you can take that on. All very good points regarding Chuba and the Panthers. And yeah, same. Expecting healthy Brooks to be the featured guy. So why do I want the projected but not guaranteed handcuff? Yeah, that's how I feel too. I've got 20% miles and weekly winners because you're becoming a best ball bro podcast guest. Yeah, wasn't that John? Wasn't John talking about that? Because we were talking about weekly winners with him. But yeah, I mean, agreed. Like it was a really sharp take. Got a lot of Ray Davis, man. We can talk about Jordan Whittington too. We haven't talked about him at all on this stream. So we got Washington with an Atlanta bring back. We got Jacksonville with no, Tyler Boyd, I guess, is the play. I still probably want one more running back, even with CMC. It was encouraging to see Brian Thomas Jr. in 2 wide receiver sets in the preseason game. Yeah, I mean, Christian Kirk is not necessarily a perimeter guy, but he will still play there a little bit. I think they're just kind of testing things as to what we see. They're testing things to see what works. That's the thing with the preseason stuff is like, yeah, some of it's important, but I think it's most important for running backs personally, because I think at wide receiver, you can really like test things, like put AD Mitchell in the slot and see if he can do anything. Right. All right, let's see what's going on here. This is where we could get a bring back with JSN. We do need some more. I'm getting Jaleel McLaughlin. He's just like an auto pick for me whenever I need some production. So that's my fifth. That'll be my fifth and final running back. And then we get a wide receiver. I mean, I like Jalen McMillan a lot. There's just not much correlation necessarily there. Demarcus Robinson, I think, is going to end up falling a little bit because of this Whittington hype. But we do get a little bit of correlation going there. We already have Cooper Kupp. I'm leaning towards McMillan. I don't really have a strong take here. I can always get Whittington later. Let's get McMillan and take the chance. Let's just get McMillan. Kind of an uncorrelated dart throw of we'll see what goes on. We'll see what happens. I liked him a lot as a prospect. One of his comps for me was Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jordan Whittapuka, yeah. Whittington was an interesting prospect in my model, though. Like he had a positive draft capital delta, which means my model saw him as undervalued, but it wasn't big enough to give him a what I call a low risk profile. He was still a neutral profile. I also realized that so this happens sometimes when during draft season you get the birthdays for all these prospects, but like lesser known prospects like a Whittington, even though he's at a big program, they have the wrong birthday for him. So he's actually 8 months younger than I thought he was. So his write up in my guide, there was something about him being 24 years old. It was actually wrong. I need to maybe even tweet that. I mean, that kind of thing happens. I'm not going to like shy away from, oh no, like I'm going to cover it up like I didn't screw. No, I didn't know I had the wrong birthday. Period. You got fake news by me. For real. I randomly got an offer of a 2025 second for Jalen McMillan this morning when I drafted him at 310. I took it, but now I'm thinking I shouldn't have. No, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. Jalen McMillan, though, was I said this during draft season. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like I really thought that this Washington wide receiver room had a chance to be like the USC wide receiver room because you had Jalen McMillan, who was the Amon-Ra St. Brown. You had Jalen Polk, who was hypothetically the Michael Pittman. And then you had Roma Dunze, who was hypothetically the Drake London. And Drake London was actually one of the comps for Rome in my model. Amon-Ra St. Brown was a comp for Jalen McMillan. And then Polk is not really as much of a Michael Pittman, but like that's the fun little correlation and analogy to make. Please refund my BBMs with no Jordan Whittapuka. I like the Whittapuka. That's fun. Chosen Anderson just signed. Oh boy. Just using Geno as an example, but it could apply to. Oh wait, hang on. There was a. All right, here. People ask about this year Puka Nacua, or about this year Puka Nacua, or this year's whatever. But that question generally goes back one season. What about asking who is this year's Geno Smith from 2022? Yeah, I mean, like I think that content is fine, but as long as the person creating the content is saying the odds of this happening is literally like less than 1%. And it depends on what you mean by this year's Puka Nacua and stuff like that, right? Neil, what's up, buddy? Appreciate the shout to hit that. I'm so bad at reminding people to subscribe, hit the like. I'm new to YouTube. That's what it comes down to. I'm good in the podcast game, but new to YouTube. It'd be super interesting if all these Washington guys turn into those players. I mean, I wouldn't hate it for this team because I got the Jaden Daniels pick. Yeah, JJ, which 18th round player is going to set the NFL touchdown record this year? Exactly. All right. We're going to probably pound wide receiver a little bit. I mean, we could get a sixth running back too with this build. I'm also pretty open to, I mean, maybe we even get like Justin Fields and really get weird. Um, I'm pretty open to Jermaine Burton still. Did he just get drafted? Yeah. Let's see. We can get Corley for week 15 and then Tyler Boyd to get the bring back with Jacksonville. Let's do that. And then we can be pretty open-ended with what goes on in the final round at running back or wide receiver. Oh, Washington. Yeah. I'm not saying that they're going to turn out to be those guys. I'm saying that during draft season, like I'm not assuming, of course, that all three of those guys are going to hit the same way that the three USC guys did. I'm saying that during draft season, there was a lot of, you know, especially from from the analytics side and analytics community, there was a lot of like, all three of these guys can't be good because look at their numbers and stuff like that. Whereas we've seen a pretty interesting, from an analogy perspective, a pretty interesting example of it actually working out. A lot of those numbers, though, from the other guys were better. Is Tony even going to be picked up by anyone? I mean, probably not. Yeah, I wouldn't like lock in those three being that good. That's crazy. I work with probability. Like that's what the models and stuff that I work with is all about. I considered going Justin Fields with that pick just for fun, but I went against it. It's funny that Fields, after that report, like we saw the report of from the Athletic about them talking about, I think it was the Athletic about them talking about like he's definitely not going to be the starter to start the season. And then Russell Wilson's healthy now. And then all of a sudden Fields goes from like a consistent 13th round. Like I would see him in the 13th round relatively consistently. And now he's back to, 17th, a later round pick where the equity, the draft capital you're spending doesn't matter that much. You guys got Herzig going on, Tyler, sounds like. That'll be a fun stream. There goes Jordan Mason. There goes Eric Gray. So yeah, we'll have the last pick of this draft. Like if a guy like Roshan's there, I think that's a good fit for this build. If I'm not going to force it at running back necessarily. I like having these teams though where you feel like you're done with another pick to go. I think running back is probably the way to go. Ayuk or Debo? I've been drafting Debo over Ayuk. Too much up in the air right now with Ayuk. I think you could have made the argument that Debo is better than like just as good of a pick before all this. Ayuk has some regression coming. He had a yards per route run above 3 last year. We almost never see that repeat. We don't see it repeat. There's only been like 4 other wide receivers to hit that over the last decade. It's just going to be really hard for I also think San Francisco is not going to score as many touchdowns this year. I said that last year based on Brock Purdy. Like Brock Purdy and them, when Brock Purdy took over, they were averaging 3.83 touchdowns per game. And I'm like, they're not going to maintain that, which they didn't, but they still scored the most touchdowns per game in the NFL last year. But I think that we'll see another drop this year. That's just how it works. That's how regression works. It's really hard to sustain like excellence. Yo, we got Brazil in the house. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I like the squad though. I think the squad definitely plays. I'm going to probably go running back with this last pick. Roshan's probably the look. I could take a chance on Kendre Miller. I don't think it's I might actually go Kendre Miller. We pair him with Brock Bowers. If we get one of these two, I'm pretty satisfied. Hard to sustain excellence, and that's why I never try. Exactly. Never be good. Because if you're good, people expect you to be good. Forever. Keep expectations low. I pursue excellence in drinking. Rum in the afternoon. Very nice. I'm really good at remembering 90s commercial jingles. Dropping in to show support to Dark Mode King JJ. Thanks, Dan. Thank you. It's really funny that I was doing the light mode thing, and then all of a sudden, I had to get glasses. I'm doing a guillotine league for the first time this year. How should I approach bidding on players after week 1? Don't be aggressive. You got to remember that you're playing against. I actually think Jamal Williams is interesting too in these last rounds. I might just pick Roshan though. We'll just see what happens. Anyway, don't go crazy. No, I could get LASIK. I literally just had bad eyes for the first time in my life. Like 2 weeks ago was my first optometrist appointment. All right, let's take a look at that team really. That was 117, it looks like. So to recap, I have Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Christian McCaffrey, Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier, Jalen Wright, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Roshan Johnson. Wide out, you got Cooper Kupp, Brandon Ayuk, so you got a little San Francisco love going on there. Christian Kirk to pair with Trevor Lawrence, Terry McLaurin to go with Jaden Daniels, JSN, Jalen McMillan, Malachi Corley, Tyler Boyd. There's some week 15 and 16 stuff in correlation in here. Tyler Boyd brings it back, though, for Jacksonville in week 17. Evan Ingram and Brock Bowers. I actually like this team quite a bit. I think it came together. What do you guys think? As I always ask at the end of these streams, what would you guys give it out of 10? Because I'm going to rate all my BBM teams so I can go back and see how good, like when we finish a draft, we always feel a certain way. How good are we at knowing which teams are actually good? I might give this one an 8. I think this might be an 8 out of 10 team. It's solid throughout. Yeah, I feel like it's an 8 out of 10 too. 6.9 out of 10. I see what you did there. But yeah, with guillotine leagues, with guillotine leagues, don't spend early on in your season. Just remember you're playing against 18 teams or 17 teams or whatever, and then every week you still have a very, very favorable probability to not get cut. People get way too wild with their free agent budget early on in the season. Just wait. Be the bully late in the season. That's your goal. The problem is McCaffrey hit a wall. Will McCaffrey hit a wall? Yeah, but I mean, that's the whole point, right? If that's the problem, that's a good problem to have, because the entire point of taking CMC first overall or taking him in the first round is he's gonna pay off for you. Like, yeah, if Christian McCaffrey has a horrible year or misses the whole year, his team was done anyway, right? Anyway, that was fun. Good squad overall. Good stream overall. Appreciate the gaming takes. That was fun. Appreciate the random banter. Always a good time. You guys get to see me in the glasses for the first time. Well, some of you maybe. But I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in as usual. I'll see if I can do a stream tomorrow. I know that I don't have a consistent schedule. It's just because there's inconsistencies with the other shows that I do. And unfortunately, the other shows get some priority because they're for the podcast and stuff. But hit the like. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I gotta remind everyone to do that. Hit the like, subscribe to the channel, do what you got to do. Share it if you want to share it. Leave a comment afterwards. Tell me how awesome my glasses look. Do all that kind of stuff. It goes a long way. Be very helpful as I try to now officially build this YouTube channel a little bit. But thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.